Srinivas Govada. I am working as an assistant professor in IARE college. In this topic, we will discuss about the database architecture. Database architecture essentially describes the location of all the pieces of information that makes up a database application. The database structure can be broadly classified into 2, 3, and multi-tier architecture. Okay, your database, an application will have a front end, a database server. Okay, so broadly these are classified into 2-tier, 3-tier, and multi-tier architecture. Now let us see the first topic, that is 2-tier architecture. The 2-tier architecture is a client-server architecture in which the client contains the presentation code and the SQL statement for database access. The database server processes the SQL statements and sends query results back to the client. So, suppose your application asks for some information, it goes to the database server. The database server will process and it will give the data back to the client. Okay, the 2-tier architecture is shown below. A 2-tier client server provides a basic separation of tasks. The client or first tier is primarily responsible of the presentation of data to the user, and server or the second tier is primarily responsible for supplying data service to the client. Here you see example here. The diagram structure is the first is the client and second is the database server. The client asks for some data to be retrieved from the database server. So when the request comes to the database server, the database server processes and gives back the result to the client. This is the 2-tier model. In this we have one client, one database server. The first tier will be the client, the second would be database server. So this is the 2-tier. Now let us see the next step. In this, the presentation layer. So earlier we have seen here, we have presentation services, application service, user interface in the first client. In the first tier, which is client. In the second, we have application servers, business services, and data services. Okay, now we'll see what are the presentation services. Presentation services refers to the portion of the application which represents the data to the user. Okay, the presentation service refers to the portion of the application which presents the data to the user. In addition, it also provides for the mechanism in which the user will interact with the data. More simply out, the presentation logic defines and interact with the user interface. The presentation of the data should generally not contain any validation rule. Your presentation is nothing but it displays the data coming from the server. So whatever your database server is giving us, we'll have to present it. In this, there will be no validation rules. Okay, this is the presentation services. Next, let us see what is the business service. Business services are objects. Business services are a category of application services. The business services encapsulate an organization business process and deployments. These rules can be derived from the steps necessary to carry out day-end business in an organizations. These rules can be validation rules used to be sure that the incoming information is valid type and format, and they can process rules which ensure that proper business process is allowed in order to complete the operation. So business services are business rules. Suppose you have some validation that your student age cannot be less than 20 years. So that when you're trying to input that the age less than 20 years, then you'll be given a validation message that the age cannot be less than 20 years. So that is the business rules, and so we will have to maintain this in order to have the data to be correctly saved. Okay. Next, application services provides other functions necessary for the applications. The data services provide access to the data independent of the location. The data can come from legacy machines like mainframes or SQL RDBMS or proprietary data access systems. Once again, the data services provides a standard interface for accessing data. See, earlier we had here user interface, the presentation interface, application services. And we have the data services. In the data services, it can be the data can be independent of the location, and it can come from any database such as legacy or SQL or any property data access systems. This is the two-tier architecture. Now we'll see what are the advantage of two-tier architecture. The two-tier architecture is a good approach for systems with stable requirements and moderate number of clients. Okay, it is good for stable requirements and for a moderate number of clients. The two-tier architecture is simplest to implement due to the number of good commercial development environments. However, there is a drawback. The software maintenance can be difficult because PC clients contain mixture of presentation, validation, and business logic code. To make an efficient change in the business logic, the code must be modified on many clients. Moreover, the performance of two-tier architecture can be poor when a large number of clients submit requests because the database server may be overwhelmed with managing messages. With a large number of simultaneous clients, a two-tier architecture, the three-tier architecture may be necessary. See, when there is more number of clients and you have to change the code at the front end, you have to modify it many places. And when there is more number of clients, then your database server will choke because it will have to manage all these client requests. So we have to go to the three-tier architecture. Okay, let us see the third three-tier architecture. In this, we'll have like example in the first client, the client is the same, but we'll move the business logic and other things to the middle tier, that is second tier. The third tier will have as usual database server. So earlier we had only the client and the data services. Now here in the third tier, we are introducing one more tier server where that is used for business validations and application services. Okay, and a multi-tier, often referred to as three-tier or n-tier architecture, provides greater application scalability, lower maintenance, and increased reuse of components. The three-tier architecture offers a technology neutral method of building client-server application with vendors which employ standard interface which provides service for each logical tier. The three-tier architecture is shown below. From this figure, it is clear that in order to improve the performance of second tier is included between the client and server. In the earlier, we had only the client and the data server. Now, in this, we are going to introduce a new tier where it is called application server, which takes care of the application services and the business logics. Okay, those standard tier interfaces services are made available to the application. A single application can employ many different services which they can reside on dissimilar platforms or developed and maintained with different tools. This approach allows the developer to leverage investments in existing systems while creating a new application which can utilize existing resources. Although the three-tier architecture addresses performance degradation of second tier architecture, it does not address division of processing concerns. The PC client and the database server still contains the same division of the code, although the tasks of the database servers are reduced. Multiple tier architecture provides more flexibility in terms of division of processing. So all this is that your load on your client will not have load because you are moving the business rules and validation to the entire. Okay, so this is about the three-tier architecture. Now we will see one more tier, that is multi-tier. See, we have various clients and there will be one application server catering to one for the databases, like one for the database. Okay, this is application server, legacy data server. Okay, here multiple clients will connect to one application server, and this will interact with application server or database server. The multi-tier, three-tier or n-tier implementation employs a three-tier logical architecture is superimposed on a distributed physical model. The application servers can access other application servers in order to supply service to the client application as well to other application servers. The multiple tier architecture is the most general client server architecture. It can be it can be it can be most difficult to implement because of its generality. However, a good design and implementation of the multi-tier architecture can provide the most benefits in terms of scalability, interoperability, and flexibility. For example, in the diagram shown, the client application looks to the application server 1. The client application will look to the application server 1 to supply data from the mainframe based application. The application server 1 has no direct access to the application server 2, has no directly access to the has no directly access to the 2. The application server does not direct access to the mainframe application. However, it does know that through the development of application service, the application server 2 will provide service access to data from mainframe application which satisfy the client request. Application server 1 then invokes the appropriate service on application server 2 and receives requested data and is passed to the client. See, your client will place a request that I want data from this legacy or database. Directly, it cannot, suppose it has to communicate with the legacy database server, directly the application 1 cannot do it. So, it have to contact application 2 and application 2 has access to the legacy system. So, directly from legacy, the data is sent to the application server 2. This server 2 will supply the data to the application server 1 and this will give the information to the clients. The application servers can take many forms. An application server may be nothing from custom application services, transaction processing monitors, database middleware, message queue to a core COM based solutions. Thank you. This completes the database architecture.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.